Why is it that the longer a man remains single, the more powerful, self-reliant and untouchable he becomes? What hidden truth do the Stoics reveal about solitude and strength? Stay tuned, because this could be the perspective shift you've been waiting for. In today's world, being single is often viewed as a sign of lacking something, a relationship, a partner, or a social status. But what if I told you that the longer a man is single, the stronger he can actually become? Not just mentally, but emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. In this video, we are going to dive deep into the Stoic principles that reveal why solitude can be the ultimate power move for a man. Whether you're single by choice or by circumstance, this could change the way you view your life forever. Segment 1. Embracing solitude. There's a profound truth hidden in the solitary moments of a man's life. The longer a man stays single, the more he begins to understand the deepest parts of himself. It's in solitude that he learns to confront his own thoughts, face his fears, and ultimately embrace his own strength. It's not a curse to be alone. Rather, it's an opportunity. A chance to grow, to truly live for yourself, and to prepare for the relationships that life will bring. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who mastered the art of life, understood the power of solitude. They knew that in moments of quiet and reflection, we can achieve clarity. As Seneca said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In the stillness of our own company, we are given the rare gift of freedom, the freedom to define who we are, to decide what we want from life, and to shed the distractions that cloud our true purpose. When we're constantly surrounded by others, we're often so wrapped up in what society expects from us, whether it's the rush to be in a relationship, the pressure to conform to social norms, that we forget what truly matters. Seneca again puts it beautifully. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Solitude teaches us that we don't need external validation, nor do we need a constant companion to feel whole. We come to realize that contentment doesn't come from the presence of another person, it comes from within. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Being single isn't an event to react to. It's an opportunity to shape yourself, to carve out a version of yourself that is impervious to the whims of the world. The longer a man is single, the more he can learn to focus on what he can control, the way he thinks, the way he acts, the way he lives. And yet, this solitude is not loneliness. There's a deep difference. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic, knew this well. In his Meditations he writes, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you are alone, you have the rare chance to cultivate the kind of thoughts that serve you, thoughts that lead to growth, purpose, and inner peace. The world is full of noise, but in solitude, you have the power to tune it out and hear your own voice more clearly. In the rush to find love or companionship, we forget that the most important relationship we have is the one we have with ourselves. Solitude gives us the time and space to build that relationship, brick by brick. It's only in this quiet solitude that we can truly come to understand our own desires, our own values, and what we seek in life and others. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When we are alone, We can choose what color to paint our soul, choosing wisdom, choosing peace, choosing strength. The longer a man is single, the more he will learn to master his own mind. And it is through this mastery that he is truly prepared for any relationship that may come. Because in the end, we can only give to others what we've first cultivated within ourselves. Solitude isn't a punishment, it's an invitation. An invitation to come face to face with the person you are becoming, so embrace it. For in solitude, you're not just learning to be alone, you're learning to be the best version of yourself. And that is the most powerful thing a man can ever be. Segment 2. Building emotional resilience. It's easy to look around and feel the pressure. Relationships, expectations, a constant rush to find the one. But what if the real strength of a man isn't found in the embrace of someone else, but in his own solitude? The longer a man remains single, the more he is invited into a profound opportunity, a chance to build emotional resilience. It's in the quiet moments of being alone where he has the chance to rise, not only for himself, but for the world around him. In the writings of Seneca, we are reminded that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This truth lies at the core of emotional resilience. For a man who is single, his emotional world often becomes a battlefield, fighting with loneliness, doubt, and fear. Yet, Seneca teaches us that most of what we fear is a creation of our own minds. The pain of being single is not the absence of another person, but the absence of understanding what this time truly offers. There's an ancient strength in solitude. It is a quiet forge where a man's character is tested. In solitude, he confronts his demons without distraction. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." To build emotional resilience, a man must first learn to respond, not react. When he's alone, he faces himself. He learns to observe his thoughts, to sift through the noise of his emotions, and to question their validity. Is his loneliness truly a void? Or is it space for growth, for reflection, for understanding his deepest desires? Consider Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, who led the most powerful empire in the world while simultaneously grappling with the turmoil of his own soul. In his meditations he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." A man who is single must come to realize this. He holds the power not over the people he desires, but over his mind, his responses, and his understanding of his own worth. Emotional resilience is not born in the presence of others, but in the depths of our own solitude. The longer a man is single, the more he learns to rely on himself, not in arrogance, but in strength. He discovers that his happiness is not tethered to the whims of another, but to his own sense of purpose and self-worth. Yes, the longer a man is single, the more he has the opportunity to learn that his value is not defined by his relationship status, but by his character, his virtues, and his emotional resilience. He can become the rock upon which his life is built, and in doing so, when the time does come to welcome someone into his life, he does so not out of need, but out of choice, stronger, wiser, and more prepared. To be single is not a burden. It is a gift. It is a time for transformation. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Embrace the way, for in solitude a man does not lose himself, he finds his truest strength. Segment 3. The freedom to pursue. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The journey to becoming that man, an integrated, balanced, and wise individual, is one that requires the freedom to act without external pressures. And for many, that freedom is found in being single. In the silence of his own company, he can truly focus on his goals, his growth, his ambitions. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The longer he is single, the more he is able to cultivate mastery over himself, not just in actions, but in thoughts, desires, and habits. In the stillness of solitude, a man has the time to reflect, to understand who he truly is. Seneca, in his Letters from a Stoic, wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When we are single, we no longer have distractions that cloud our perception. We are forced to confront our inner turmoil, and from this confrontation, growth emerges. Being single does not mean being incomplete. It is in these quiet moments that a man finds his true essence. He learns that he is enough, that the power to build his life resides solely in him. "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life," said Epictetus. And what is freedom if not the ability to forge your own path without dependence on another? The Stoic approach to life, stoic in the truest sense, is one of individual responsibility. A man who is single can, with clarity, choose what he lets into his life, what he invests his time in. He is the master of his day, the captain of his ship. And so, as he stands in his solitude, he is not isolated. He is united with the universe, free to move, free to evolve. The longer a man is single, the more he realizes he is not merely existing, he is becoming. A man who understands this freedom holds within him the power to pursue his dreams, to live with intention. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When a man is single, he is given a rare gift, the ability to shape time, to fill it with meaning, and in doing so, he crafts a life that can stand proudly on its own. The longer a man is single, the more he learns the art of being, the more he understands that true freedom begins not in the company of others, but within himself. Segment 4. Mastering self-control. Stoicism teaches us that the external world cannot dictate our happiness. The pursuit of external validation, whether through relationships, status, or possessions, is nothing but a distraction. True contentment comes from within. Seneca's words remind us that before we can truly connect with others, we must first learn to master ourselves. But how do we do that? How do we embrace solitude without feeling incomplete? The Stoic path is not about avoiding relationships. It's about understanding that your worth is not defined by who is with you or who isn't. It is about learning to be whole within yourself, to stand in your own presence without fear or insecurity. Epictetus understood the power of restraint. When we are single, we are given the rare opportunity to learn the art of simplicity, to rid ourselves of unnecessary desires, to let go of the need to impress, to be adored. Instead, we find strength in independence, in contentment with just being. And yet, there's a beauty in solitude that many fail to see. It's in these quiet moments that we hear the truest voice, our own. When a man is alone, he faces himself, and it is only through this confrontation that he truly understands his strengths and his weaknesses. Marcus Aurelius believed that happiness is not something you find in others, but in the way you cultivate your mind. The longer a man is single, the more he can refine his thoughts, focus on what truly matters, and embrace what is within his control. The journey of self-mastery is not an easy one, but it's in the silence of solitude that we sharpen our character, like a blade honed on a stone. The longer a man is single, the more time he has to refine his purpose, to learn discipline, to understand his emotions without being ruled by them. Solitude may bring discomfort at first, but it's through that discomfort that we grow, evolve, and transform. A man who has learned to be content in his own company, who has discovered peace in solitude, carries with him an inner strength that no relationship can provide, because that strength is built on self-understanding, not dependence. So let the world say what it will. Let the noise of society push you towards seeking companionship, validation, and approval. But remember, the longer a man is single, the more he has the power to create his own happiness. He becomes the master of his own fate, the architect of his own peace. In the stillness of solitude, a man finds the greatest companionship with himself, and in that relationship he becomes unstoppable. Segment 5. Building an unshakable mindset. In life, we are often told that a man is defined by his relationships, by his attachments, and by the people he surrounds himself with. But the Stoic truth is far different. There is strength in solitude, and in the silence of being alone. A man can build a mindset that cannot be shaken by the winds of fortune or the turbulence of life. As Seneca wisely put it, a man is not hurt by things, but by his opinion of things. The longer a man is single, the more he learns not to rely on the external for his peace, his happiness, or his sense of self-worth. He begins to understand that true strength comes from within, not from anyone else. It's a realization that most never come to, the idea that we are our own best company. In a world that pressures men to find validation through relationships, the Stoic sees the opportunity for growth in his solitude. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." When a man is single, he faces the truth about what he truly desires, what he truly needs. He learns that less is more, and in that simplicity, he becomes rich in wisdom. The longer a man stands alone, the more he recognizes his own capacity for resilience. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Life will always present obstacles, but when a man is single, he is forced to rely on his own judgment, his own strength. He becomes unshakable because he has learned to navigate life's challenges alone, without the crutch of others. Solitude allows him to refine his character, to sharpen his mind. With each day, he fortifies his spirit. In his singleness, he finds purpose, and in that purpose, he builds the foundation for an unshakable mindset. When others may falter, when relationships begin to crumble and the world outside grows unpredictable, a man who has cultivated his inner strength remains steady, grounded. Seneca put it best, "It is not the man who has little, but he who desires more, That is poor. So, embrace your solitude, for in it lies your greatest opportunity. The longer a man is single, the more he becomes not only his own master, but the architect of a life that cannot be easily torn down. And that, my friend, is the true meaning of unshakable strength. So if you're standing alone right now, understand this. You're not behind, you're not lacking, and you're certainly not lost. You're in the very process of becoming the kind of man who doesn't just survive solitude but thrives in it. A man who has faced himself, mastered his thoughts, and built strength from the inside out. The Stoics knew this truth well, that solitude isn't an emptiness to escape, but a forge to enter. And when you emerge, stronger, wiser, and unshakable, you won't just attract a partner. You'll attract a life of intention, of meaning, and of freedom. So don't rush to fill the silence. Embrace it. Let it teach you, mold you, and elevate you. Because the longer a man is single, the more he has the power to become something rare, a man who is truly whole. And that is the most powerful thing you can ever be. Thank you for being here with me at Stoic Philosophy Daily. If you'd like to explore more about how Stoic thought can enrich your life, check out my videos. Keep learning, keep growing. You're not just studying philosophy, you're living it.